Greetings and salutations, everybody. I hope you had an absolutely happy new year. I certainly did. But today we're going to have to go back to the old year to cover this Young Turks video because I don't know if you know this, there's a situation going on in Portland surrounding this red house on Mississippi Avenue. If you haven't heard, if you're not up to date, the Young Turks are about to fill you in because a black and indigenous family is currently being evicted. No, wait. Foreclosed on based solely on the fact that they are black and indigenous and they didn't pay their mortgage. Like, they stopped paying it for years. But that's really secondary to the fact that this is both racist and colonialist, and the Young Turks are going to let you know exactly why. And then I'm going to tell you what the Young Turks are leaving out, because they will absolutely not let you know anything of importance to this story. Now, before we get started, I do want to point out that I have joined, and I've been a member for a while, an alternative platform called Utreon or Utrean or whatever it's pronounced. I don't really know. And you can view my entire video backlog on that website. And it's a great website because the people who actually set it up contacted me and they basically set up my entire channel with the full backlog without me having to do anything. My channel is linked, by the way, on that website in the description box of this video. Go over there and join, create an account, subscribe, help me out. And if you want to watch my videos on a new and up and coming platform, they are also being released there, and it's absolutely amazing. I don't even know how else I can express this other than amazement and bemusement. And amazement, you should be amazed. Happy something something new year, blah blah blah. Go over there. Let's get into the topic of the video because it's Young Turks and I know you guys want to see that.
So there's a story out of Portland. Cops in Portland clashed with protesters.
Now, I hate to pause the video right here and jump in and interject with my amazing points, but it's a new year and I'm feeling pumped and on point and ready to roll. But anytime, and I mean absolutely anytime, you hear that protesters clash with the police or clash with counter-protesters, what that actually means is radical left-wing protesters, unprovoked, attack the police or a right-wing group. Anytime a right-wing group does anything, even if they're defending themselves, it's right-wing protesters or right-wing gang members attack whatever side. But when the left does it, when they do unprovoked violence based on them trying to steal a home from the rightful owner, that's just them clashing. So the Young Turks already in the new year are getting strike one from me.
Who were attempting to blockade a home where a black and indigenous family was recently evicted.
Yep, I said it at the start of this video, and this needs to be emphasized more than any other fact. This family is black and indigenous. We are dealing with a black and indigenous family. This family is indigenous and black, and that most certainly, above all other things, forget about them not paying their mortgage for years, is the reason why they're being evicted and discriminated against by the racist, anti-indigenous, anti-black Portland police that are so racist and racist and racist.
So the home was then auctioned off to a real estate developer. It currently sits empty. And so the protesters had been occupying that home in an effort to make a point, a very valid point, about how this system is incredibly broken and it leads to people essentially being evicted from their homes as a result of, not having the funds to.
Yes, the protesters are occupying this home in order to prove a point about how corrupt this system is. This system where you agree to pay for something and then you stop paying for it, and then the thing that you agreed to pay for based on the fact that you stopped paying for it is taken away from you. But I want to get into something that Anna brings up because I think it's one of the big lies that she starts this video off with, one of the big false premises, and I think we really need to get into it because it's incredibly important.
It leads to people essentially being evicted from their homes as a result of, not having the funds to, defend family members from ridiculous allegations in court.
So Anna says right there that the reason that this family, this black and indigenous family, who happens to be indigenous and black, by the way, if you didn't know, is being evicted, when in reality she means foreclosed on, from this home, is because they didn't have the funds to defend themselves from ridiculous allegations in court. Did not have the funds, again, to defend themselves from ridiculous allegations in court. We're going to talk about that very soon in this video. I'm going to break that down for you, but I just want that to be pinned in your brain because I looked up these ridiculous allegations in court, and I find it fascinating that Anna Kasparian has presented it in this way. However, there is a chance that later in this video, Anna will correct herself and talk about the allegations in the court. And if she doesn't do that, then I'm going to explain them to you. And if she does do that, then I won't, and I'll apologize to Anna. But the thing is, I've already seen this video. I know that she doesn't do that. I know that she doubles down on this lie, so you're just gonna have to wait for me to explain this to you.
So the protest basically got crazy once police got involved because they wanted to board up the home. They blocked the streets and they tried to get these protesters out of that area. The owner of the property, which is a real estate developer, where the eviction took place, issued a complaint that people were trespassing. Officers showed up at the location before dawn, arresting 7 people. Violence broke out between police and protesters in broad daylight near the home, with demonstrators hurling rocks at officers, spraying fire extinguishers, and damaging police cars.
So of course Anna has to put it out there that the problem really occurred when the police showed up. It didn't occur when these people were occupying a property that wasn't theirs, essentially stealing it from the rightful owner. But the real problems happened when the police showed up, and not when the police started arresting people. When the rioters, when the people trying to steal property from the rightful owner started throwing rocks and using fire extinguishers and attacking the police, that's when the clashes happened. The one-way violence that the police responded to from the protesters, that's what triggered the clash. That's when people started clashing. Again, if you're not figuring this out, a clash means left-wing person does an unprovoked attack against law enforcement or other law-abiding citizen. That's how the left-wing media covers it. But Anna is about to tell you the heartbreaking elements of this story. She's really gonna hammer it home because this story is so sad.
Now, the protesters were trying to reclaim this foreclosed home, and the story is so sad, and I know that there are so many Americans out there who have stories just like this.
No, it's really sad, unbelievably sad.
The story is so sad.
No, it is so sad. It is unbelievably sad. I am saddened by this, and my sadness levels are off the charts.
The story is so sad.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's sad. We got it. It's sad.
The story is so sad, and I know that there are so many Americans out there who have stories just like this. So to give you a little bit of context, and then I want to hear your thoughts, John. The Hill reports that the house had belonged to the Kinney family since the 1950s. The Kinney family had actually paid off the home, but then they ended up taking out a new mortgage to pay defense lawyers after a family member was arrested in 2000.
I mean, honestly, that was really sad. This family owned this home. They had already paid it off, and they only had to take out a mortgage because a member of their family got arrested. And as Anna said at the beginning of this video, it was due to ridiculous accusations that they just didn't have the money to pay for. That's why they had to take out a second mortgage, because obviously the systemic racism against Black and Indigenous people, obviously, is the reason that they had to pay off lawyers in order to fight ridiculous allegations.
It leads to people essentially being evicted from their homes as a result of, not having the funds to, defend family members from ridiculous allegations in court. So
that's the only reason Anna would present the story that way, obviously, right? Anna wouldn't deliberately obfuscate what actually happened in that case. The thing that might make the family or the person at the center of that court case seem less sympathetic. No, she wouldn't do that. It's obviously something to do with Black and Indigenous, and just so many families just get crippled by our criminal justice system. I mean, who doesn't have a member of their family that killed somebody via hit and run and injured another elderly person? Who among us hasn't hit an 83-year-old man with their car and then fled the scene of the crime, leaving that person for dead with his injured wife right next to him? Look, I've covered a lot of stories of so-called systemic racism and racism on this channel, and I've refuted, disputed, and debunked all of them, but this is not an example of something that I can refute, dispute, or debunk. I mean, what else do you call it besides systemic racism when you have a 17-year-old, who's Black and Indigenous, by the way, arrested on frivolous charges? I mean, all he did is something that every white kid has done in their entire lives multiple times and never got prosecuted for it. He was driving with a suspended permit, didn't even have a license. He was speeding, he blew through a stop sign, hit an elderly couple in their car, causing the elderly man to die and injuring his wife severely, and then he took off and ran. I mean, I don't know what else to call that except for frivolous charges and systemic racism. Who among us hasn't done something like this? He who has not crippled a woman and injured and then killed her husband and then fled the scene of the crime while driving without insurance, without a license, and blowing through a stop sign while speeding, cast the first stone. You cast the first eviction, you scumbags. You should apologize for this. You're disgusting and you disgust me. I am disgusted by your disgusting nature. Let these people have the home. That court case didn't even matter. Didn't even matter that he pled guilty, so he was convicted of this. No, not cool.
And I wanted to get your thoughts, and then I'll show you how easily the protesters did away with the fences that the cops erected here.
Isn't it amazing that the Young Turks and the left wing on YouTube can just promote and cheer on and giggle about left-wingers committing crimes, but if you bring up facts about right-wingers not committing crimes, if you give context about that, you're at risk of being banned on the social media platforms? Isn't it interesting that Anna's like, I'm gonna show you a clip of them doing away with those barriers that were lawfully put up in order to protect the rights of the lawful property owner.
It's an added layer of, I don't know, irony or what, that like the House had to have the new mortgage as a result of these same sorts of issues, that it almost seems like too perfect.
I agree with John. It's almost too good to be true. I mean, that's probably because it's not true. Again, these weren't frivolous allegations. This was somebody who was unlicensed, who was speeding, who didn't have insurance, who ran a stop sign, hit another person, killing that person, and then fled the scene of the crime. But other than that, it almost seems like it's too good to be true, doesn't it, John? Just too good to be true. I mean, because it's not true.
Paid off their home, man. They had a paid off home. Like, all it takes in America is one instance of bad luck. That's all it takes. You getting sick, someone in your family being wrongfully arrested for something. It takes so little for you to go from being financially stable to having a paid off home to being foreclosed.
That's so true. That's so true, Anna. I mean, I am blown away by the trueness of your true statement. It's so easy in America to fall into poverty. All it takes is somebody getting sick, somebody being wrongfully arrested, or somebody killing somebody else and then fleeing the scene of the crime when they're not supposed to be driving in the first place while they're speeding and they blow through a stop sign. Those things that can happen to anybody that are no fault of anybody at all, not the driver who did all of those things, who at any point could have taken responsibility and tried to help the person that they ended up killing. No. Those are just things that are they're just so out of our control. It's devastating. I want to cry, but like the tears are not coming out of my face. And it's really sad. I mean, this couple or this family could have, paid the mortgage. Like they just stopped paying the mortgage for 18 months, something ridiculous like that. And they said it was because the company that owned the mortgage changed and they didn't know who to pay. And they didn't know who to pay for over a year. They just stopped paying. They could have easily paid the mortgage. That's all it also could have taken. But really, the real fact about this is that this person pled guilty to being falsely accused of killing somebody that they definitely did kill. They definitely committed this crime. 100%.
You think the banks care about, you think the banks want policies that prevent these evictions? And I apologize, John, I interrupted you and I hate when that happens to me. But this is just a topic that drives me crazy because remember, don't let a good crisis go to waste. This turns into opportunities.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
For these real estate developers. They love this. They love this. Went to an auction, bought this house at probably a huge discount. It's just beyond frustrating. And a family loses their home.
I mean, honestly, the banks don't care. I don't think you can make the case that the banks do care. I mean, in reality, if you really think about it, if you twist it a lot and you change it up and you make it into something that's completely not what actually happened, the bank was driving the car that hit that elderly man and his wife, killing that elderly man, and the bank fled the scene of that crime. That's honestly what actually happened because capitalism, because they don't care, because they are foreclosing on this family that has a paid off home, that were paid off in their home because they borrowed money and then for some odd reason stopped paying off the money that they borrowed. And now all this family can do in response to their home being foreclosed on is live in their second home about 2 miles away because they own 2 homes at the time. Seriously.
Why don't we pull up the video for B-roll and I'll explain what's going on? Because one of the things that the cops did, the police did in this case, was attempt to board up the home to prevent the protesters from trespassing. And they also put up this fence, and it's just they're pretty unstoppable. They're like, no, we're gonna go ahead and tear down this fence. We don't care that it's boarded up. There have been allegations of crime taking place there, and obviously I'm not in favor of that. I don't condone that. I mean, crime outside of alleged trespassing or whatever. But other than that,
we
I
also
think
don't
the
know.
point, we don't know. That's
Considering
why
the
I'm saying,
divisive
I haven't
situation.
seen
Yeah.
evidence of that, and that's what's being alleged by the real estate developer and by the cops in this case. And I would say that maybe they have a little bit of a bias, and we should wait to see evidence of actual crime taking place there.
I swear to God, the Young Turks are unbelievable. They're showing you evidence of the Antifa rioters committing crimes. They reported earlier in the video about them attacking the police, which is in fact a crime. But then they say there's no evidence really of extra crimes being committed, and you can't trust the police or the property owner because they're biased. Meanwhile, they're trusting fully, they're giving their full faith and credit to the people who stopped paying their home for no reason and are trying to steal this property back from the rightful owner. They're trusting the idea that, I don't know where they got it from, that the family had to be in this situation due to the fact that their kid was wrongfully accused of a crime when their kid pled guilty and 100% undoubtedly committed that crime. This person did, again, drive without a license, a suspended permit, was speeding, had no insurance, blew through a stop sign, hit another car, and then left the person in that other car for dead. One person died, one person was severely injured. That 100% happened. But the property owner's really biased. The person who paid for the property and wants the property that they paid for, they're biased because they want their property. I don't know how else to describe this video other than insane, completely dishonest, and exactly what we'd expect from the Young Turks last year and into 2021 going forward. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then you can show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social medias. They're linked in the description. This has been me talking about the Young Turks, completely lying about a story and supporting criminals. Till next time.